Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Over this past weekend, a video went viral. A man put up a sign that said Trump won. In a video that he captured, some guy on a bike rides up, kicks it, comes back, sets it on fire. I believe he may have set it on fire more than once. This man committed an act of arson. It's extremely dangerous. It's unhinged. And so after a reward was offered for information leading to the arrest and conviction of this individual who set a fire, I also added on $5,000 for information that would lead to the arrest and conviction of this man. Following this, Benny Johnson jumped in as well, and together we put together an operation. Not really. I tweeted out, hey, I'll give a reward for this. And then sure enough, people found out who this criminal was, and the information and evidence was forwarded to the local police. Additionally, a lawyer, Lawrence, was retained to file a civil suit against this individual for setting fire to this Trump sign. I'm not going to sit here and pretend it was the most dangerous and devastating fire ever set. It's just a small sign, but this can lead to very dangerous things. And I'm gonna talk news, man. I know a lot of people may roll their eyes, but come on. We just had a massive wildfire in Maui, and you get this unhinged, deranged man setting fire to a small wooden sign. Now, I don't know what's around it, but fires can spread. Let me tell you a story. Anybody who lives out in a big field understands this. On the 4th of July, scary stuff happens on the 4th of July. You got to be careful when you're doing this. So we get fireworks out here in West Virginia, as most people do. We had nothing crazy. Seriously, not even that crazy of fireworks. And all of a sudden, maybe about an hour in, fortunately, it's getting dark, there's a fire. A small fire in the grass. And we're like, how did that happen? Well, one of the fireworks went off and it started a fire. We walked over, we stomped it out. It was that simple. But you got to understand, in this video, I'll play this from Citizen Free Press. They grabbed the video from John Kane. This dude's setting a fire. Don't do this. This is why these far leftists, they'll burn American flags in the street and the cops will try and stop them. And they'll be like, hey, man, I'm allowed to burn a flag, the Constitution, the Supreme Court, and blah, blah, blah. Dude, you can burn your own flag that you own in a secure way. So if someone has like a barbecue grill and they put a flag on, the flag burns, there might be like some pollution issues, but it's not a free speech issue. You're allowed to do it. You cannot set fire in a public street because, that's how you get wildfires. Take a look at this video. This is an insane man committing an act of arson, and his information has now been forwarded to the police. He has been identified. John M. Kane, the man who posted this, said he's already sent the reward money to the individual. I should say, man. I don't know the identity of the individual, I'm assuming, who has provided the information and tracked down this person. And now, as for me, I can't speak for Benny. I am working out the proper structure by which to pay out the individual for the reward. Now, I had tweeted information leading to the arrest and conviction. There's a reason we do this. This guy that's been identified, I'm not going to show him. There's information in the article. They talk about him, but he is innocent until proven guilty. That being said, the evidence that I have seen so far, pretty damning. The man on the video has a tattoo. The man in the video appeared in news reports. There are photos of this guy with the tattoo, easily identifiable. However, I am not going to post his identity in this video because I want to make sure we go about this the exact proper way. And there's a reason why we do the arrest and conviction stuff. We want to make sure we get the right person. However, saying that, I believe the evidence presented is sufficient to the point where I want to pay out this reward. I intend to pay out this reward immediately instead of waiting a year or two for this guy to be convicted. The reason why I say intend to is that I'm going to confer with my lawyers about the legal path by which we offer a reward for information. This guy needs to be proven guilty of something. Okay. Now let me play this video for you, and then you can look this stuff up. You'll see. Here's the video. There's a sign saying Trump won, and this man on the bike comes over and starts kicking it. This is unhinged behavior. It's unacceptable behavior. Look, man, we've seen enough with the riots, with the burning down of buildings. I'm sick of these insane people, dude. You had a guy took a pride flag down from a bar and like, I don't know if he burned it or whatever. I think he did. I think he burned it. And it's a hate crime. He's going to prison. This guy goes onto someone else's land and starts trying to destroy his property. There should be criminal charges for this. So this is August 12th, 7:14 a.m. This guy on the bike then leaves. You can see his bike leaves a trail in the grass. Interesting. And I think he then comes back later, August 15th at 4:19 a.m. You can see this guy weirdly wearing his bike stuff again, the same tattoo on his arm. And what is he doing? He's pushing the American flag out of the way, which does nothing. He then walks over with a lighter and sets fire. Look at this. Setting the Trump won sign on fire. There it is. Arson is a serious crime, dude. If that fire spread into the grass because the grass was dry and it spread around and started more fires, you could have people's lives lost all because some stupid, unhinged guy doesn't like Donald Trump. Now, apparently, so the guy who owns it, I guess, put up another sign. You can see it's completely burned out right now. This is from a Nest camera. And then it says February 18th. The John Kane issued a correction saying it was August 18th. A few days later, this dude shows back up. And you can see the wood, the wood appears to be damaged from fire. He comes back again and burns it twice. You can see the same tattoo on his arm. This man is insane. And then he runs off. Thank heavens, John Kane set up this photo. He offered a $1,000 reward for the ID of this Marxist arsonist. He's retained James Lawrence. I offered an additional $5,000, as did Benny Johnson. I look forward to seeing criminal charges. James Lawrence, I believe, has forwarded the information to proper law enforcement. They say the individual was identified. I want to read a little bit of the article. I want to be careful about if the article actually identifies the guy by name. Let me just make sure. I'm trying to avoid revealing the guy's identity because they do, and innocent until proven guilty. So a suspect has been identified in connection with the burning of a Trump flag, Trump won, after a reward was offered by John Kane and me, as well as Benny Johnson. A gentleman from Lodi, California, who does not want his name made public, first identified the arsonist. Kane reported stating the identification was made using Strava, an app that records bike rides, and GPS, which was timestamped and correspond with the timestamps on the videos. This is the amazing part of this story. I'm going to try and make sure. Check this out. In this week in the Triangle Substack, Internet Sleuths identify cyclists who set fire to Trump signs at Raleigh home. What do a Russian submarine commander, personnel at secret U.S. military bases, and a Raleigh anti-Trump arsonist have in common? They all shared a little too much data on the popular app Strava, which allows users to share GPS logs of their running or cycling routes. What's absolutely fascinating about this story, we were talking about this recently, that my brother was telling me this. I don't know. I never fact checked this. He said that this data was released on people when they run. And you could see in Antarctica, a circle, meaning somebody was running laps, but it was a big space. And they were like, that looks like an underground military base in Antarctica. So what had happened was someone who worked there was wearing a tracking band of some sort. And when they ran, the app tracked their movements and uploaded it to their website. I don't know if that story is true, but it is true that secret military bases may have been exposed by this app. I think Strava, it could be something else. Basically what happens is, in the context of this story, that guy on the bike used an app that records his GPS movements, posts them online. So what happens? He's got a tattoo on his arm. Easily identifiable marker. This is the craziest thing. If you're going to be a criminal, don't get tattoos. This guy rides his bike on GPS past this location. So now, not only do we have the guy's name, we have his tattoos correspond with the individual and photos posted all online. He is a bicycle rider, and his Strava confirms he was there at that time. Amazing. Listen, my friends, this may not be the craziest story, but things are getting crazy out there. And I'm going to move on from this story and talk to you about how insane things are getting and the fears I have about escalation. Several years ago, I have been I'm reading an article, and you all know the story, and it says, what are the chances of a civil war happening in the United States? I believe it was the Atlantic. I always forget. New Yorker or Atlantic or something. Security experts said between 30 and 60. I think the consensus was like 60 some odd percent, with some as high as 90 and some as low as 30. And these are national security experts. I said, wow, that's crazy. You get the Princeton professor guy, Google search these things. You can read them, saying we're in a cold civil war. You now have Stephen Marsh writing the book, The Next Civil War, who says we're in a period of civil strife. Civil strife is the period just before civil war when a certain number of people are being killed for political reasons. You get this level of derangement where a guy sets fire to a flag. That's crazy. But it gets crazier. I saw this story and it blew my mind. Ghostbusters director Paul Feig reveals California store owner gunned down for hanging pride flag was his friend. Now, I didn't believe it. I said, what? Wow, man. Here's the gist of the story. A 66-year-old woman got into an argument with a guy who tore down a pride flag. She got shot and killed. I don't know exactly what happened. I'm not going to ascribe, I'm not going to make inferences on anything. All we know is a woman was killed and should not have been, and this man needs to be brought to justice. You do not do this. This is what I'm telling you. People say it can't happen, and they keep saying it over and over and over again, and it keeps happening. This is civil strife. It may be a few years before we actually see any kind of hot armed conflict. Who knows? Maybe it never happens. In 1820, there was talk of civil war in the United States over slavery. Took 40 years to get there. But people also don't understand the period of Bleeding Kansas, 7 years before the Civil War. Things like this were happening. You also had a member of Congress caning another member of Congress, giving him a traumatic brain injury. Things were getting absolutely insane. Now, history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. And so we can't tell if what we're seeing today is worse or not nearly as bad as what had happened pre-Civil War in the United States. Not to mention with technology and the speed at which information travels, things are very, very different today. And it's hard to know how this plays out. But my friends, just do the time travel test, as I call it. Go back in time and explain everything that's happened. Say in 2015, when Trump announces, go to someone and say, here's a timeline of events of the next several years. They will laugh in your face. First of all, if you go back to 2015 and say, listen, I'm warning you, Donald Trump is going to get elected president, and then stop right there, they laugh in your face. And they say, you're nuts. You know how I know? Because they literally did it to Ann Coulter. Everybody who said Trump's going to win, they were laughing. Now imagine telling people then that not only would Trump win, the Democrats would accuse him of being a Russian spy, and then they would launch an investigation spending tens of millions of dollars, 30 plus million, on a special prosecutor. The media would win awards claiming that Russia was secretly controlling Trump through blackmail. Already, they're asking you if you need medication. I mean, obviously, if you said, I'm from the future, and here's what, yeah, okay. But if you said, listen, man, I'm telling you, here's what I think's going to happen. And then add all the street fighting with Proud Boys and Antifa. Then you get to the election. Then you get to COVID. Be like, listen, and then there's going to be this pandemic. And there's going to be like these lockdowns, and everyone's going to be forced to wear masks. The government is going to demand that you get vaccinated. And they're going to be like, dude, Alex Jones times 100, you're nuts. In fact, I got to be honest. I'm willing to bet that if you go back and watch InfoWars, like early 2015 and before, nothing Alex Jones says is as crazy as what really happened. That's the ultimate test. That's what I put to you. Guys, or Alex or whoever. Pull up the archives, pre-2015. And you know what Alex Jones is going to be saying? The globalists want a currency, and they're going to do these treaties, and there's going to be war. And you're like, okay, well, I mean, that sounds all reasonable. But if you were to say Donald Trump gets elected, and then there's street fighting, and then there's a major lockdown and a pandemic, and they're locking people in their homes, they're forcing them to get vaccinated, and then Donald Trump claims the election is stolen, all the while they're saying he worked for Russia and he's trying to dig up dirt in Ukraine, and then a bunch of his supporters are going to storm into the White House, and then they're going to call it an insurrection for a year. Come on. At what point does anybody reasonably just say, yeah, okay, maybe the craziest possible thing that can happen will happen? Or can happen. You're like, might. The probability is good. This is the story, okay? So this woman apparently at this Magpie store had a pride flag, and they say, let's read. An Instagram tribute, the notable Hollywood director said that they were friends. Carlton, a mom of 9, was shot Friday evening outside her Lake Arrowhead store after an unidentified suspect allegedly tore down her pride flag. He wrote in his Instagram post that this intolerance has to end and that he's committed to making sure her death will not be in vain. Now, I can say we have no idea what happened. The pride flag being torn down may or may not have been political. It could have been a personal dispute. We really don't know. Whenever it comes to these stories, I always say, well, let's hold on there a minute and see exactly, what really happened, because this is a very serious claim to make. They say anyone using hateful language against the LGBTQ community is to realize their words matter. Others in the entertainment industry who commemorated Carlton over the weekend included Andy Cohen, Adam Scott, Sophia Bush, Charlize Theron, Kristen Davis. In the tribute, he spoke out against a 27-year-old suspect who didn't like that she had a pride flag hanging outside her shop and ripped it down. He ripped it down, and when she confronted him about it, he shot and killed her, adding that he is devastated for her husband, Bort, and her family. The director also said, it's tremendous loss for the LGBTQ plus community. They lost a true ally. Look at, wow, a single bullet hole could be swinging in the store's front window on Saturday, next to which someone had taped a sign reading, "Love, thank you all for your love." Absolutely insane. So what this is crazy. And a bunch of people are issuing tributes, et cetera, et cetera. They're very upset. Now, you may be saying, this proves the far right are evil and insane. Or you may be saying, I bet that something else happened. Maybe he tore the flag down for a different reason. Maybe she wouldn't give him a refund, so he grabbed the flag and ripped it down as more of a, how dare you, I'll damage something you like. We don't know why he tore down the flag. It doesn't matter whether you think this was a fringe right-wing psychopath or a Trump-supporting nutjob who hated pride. It doesn't matter if you think that, or if you think that it's all one big hoax once again, that the fight wasn't really about the pride flag. None of it matters. All that matters is it's escalation. The perception of the individual who sees a store like this, and this is the point that I've been making for quite some time. Donald Trump is being criminally indicted across the board, unprecedented and psychotic charges. Either you think Trump is guilty or you think Trump is innocent, right? Maybe you think, well, he probably did some stuff, but this is out of control. It doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong. All that matters is that the left says, finally, we're getting justice. The right says they are targeting their political opponents, and one side will win. That's it. Don't know who? I don't know. You pick. But what happens is history will be written by the victors in this scenario. Two factions who view one story in completely different ways. As Scott Adams said, one screen with two movies playing. And that's all that matters. It leads to escalation. Someone on the right will see this and think it's a lie. Someone on the left will see this and say this proves it. And either way, it will cause fear, panic, and escalation. Now, as for the first Civil War, I strongly recommend people read as much as they can about it. And I'll tell you a few important points. In most wars and conflicts, it is a small fraction, minority, that ever actually fights or wants to fight. Typically, most people don't want to fight. No one ever believes the war is going to happen. It's true for most wars. In fact, look at Russia-Ukraine. Everyone denied war would actually break out because it's such a heavy toll and it's an insane thing to do. I didn't think it was going to. I was like, no, look, they're building troops. This is never going to happen. And then it did. Alex Jones called it out. He was right. I think it was like a few months before, like October, he said, listen, the war is going to start in February. I'm telling you. And then it did. That's crazy. People never want to believe the next craziest thing could happen until it does. And then it becomes normal. It's remarkable to me when I talk to people and they say, do you really think Trump will be convicted? Yes. No, they can't convict. Yo, they indicted him how many times? Why would any of these liberal jurisdictions acquit Donald Trump? They say, do you think they'll really put him in jail? Nah, he'll never go to jail. Yes. Maybe he doesn't, but the possibility is very strong. Trump is supposed to surrender this week. He's supposed to be putting out that evidence any minute now. We'll see what happens. I believe Trump could be remanded. Why would they allow him to campaign? The escalation is happening all around us, either because of perception or overt acts. People will look at these stories and they will just say it's on. The leftists who hate Trump see that man burning the sign down and they'll champion him. They'll say that was a good thing he did. It's not. None of this is good. Nobody should be fighting. Doesn't matter. They're going to defend the guy. They'll raise money for the guy. You had the arsonists, the vandals, and the murderers of the Summer of Love. And Biden's staff and Kamala helped raise money. Biden's staff actually donated, and Kamala tweeted out the link to raise money for these criminals. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy makes a GoFundMe, and GoFundMe allows him to raise money for his defense. And he'll say, these maggots, because that's what the left calls them, insects, must be stopped. And the left will rally around him. He'll get a great lawyer, and the lawyer will get him a plea deal or will get him off entirely. Then you have this story. I don't see any moderate right-wing individual or conservative celebrating this because they don't. But the left will say, see, they're going to use this story and go to all the people they can and say, you must be on our side, and this is why. That's why the violence is so bad. But who knows who this guy is and why he did it? It should not have been done. But they will make it political. In the meantime, it looks like we caught a very dangerous man. And that's the way to do it, the legal system. We don't want any fighting or violence. That's why I'm not posting this guy's name. We want the legal process to take care of it. What I fear is that there's going to be some kind of false flag or overt act from someone on the right. That's right. Because as James Lindsay points out, they want the reaction. There have been people calling for more January 6th style protests. Absolutely not. James Lindsay is correct. See, what's happening right now is you look at Bud Light, you look at Target, you look at Sound of Freedom, you look at rich men north of Richmond. The anti-establishment, anti-woke, the conservative, libertarian, post-liberal, whatever this faction is, we're winning. And so they desperately need something to legitimize their claims. Don't fall for it. Make money, protect your family, go about your business, be smart, stay calm, and push forward. Resist in little ways. Tell them no. Don't buy the products from these woke corporations. Support Public Square, and we'll win. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.